What's up guys, Redeems here. Today we're back again. In this video we're going to be playing some Vi in the jungle. So they picked up a Kha'Zix for the enemy jungle, so I thought I'd play Vi into that just because Vi is my favorite champ to play into Kha'Zix. And I honestly think Vi is probably the best hard counter to Kha'Zix. And it's been quite a while since I've uploaded a Vi match, so I thought I'd play him, or her. And really just Vi does super well into Kha'Zix because you can easily survive any of the burst damage from Kha'Zix with your second ability Barrier. You have really good damage early on. You can have fast jungle clear and everything. So you really just match up well against Kha'Zix. Plus you have the hard CC that can easily screw over Kha'Zix. So I'm looking at the lanes and I'm trying to decide what kind of clear do I want to do. And I have two options. I can either clear only my red side and then go towards the bot scuttle. Or I can clear my red buff, my blue buff, and then go towards the top scuttle, which is the rotation that most people do. So over here now, I'm assuming that the enemy Kha'Zix is going to go from his red buff to his blue buff and into the scuttle on the bot side. So actually, I make a decision to play towards this bot side of the map. And the reason for that is I think we win the 2v2. I think me and Fiora can beat a Kha'Zix and a Vayne. So that's why I decided to go for this red side only clear and then to fight at the scuttle, because I do think Kha'Zix is going to end up down here. And this is something that you could do as a jungler. If you think the enemy jungler is going to go for a scuttle where their lanes nearby, they don't have the advantage, they don't have the priority, then your laners will be able to rotate first. And if you can force a fight at a spot like that, you can easily win that. Because if I get the rotation first over here and Kha'Zix shows up, I'm definitely going to be able to win that. But actually, what ends up happening is Kha'Zix did the same clear as me, and I don't know what the Fiora just did there. That was an oopsies on their part. But the Kha'Zix actually did the same clear as me, and he ended up at the top scuttle. So over here now, I decided to just go for his blue buff. I know he's doing the exact same rotation as me, but now the Kha'Zix has two options. He might reset and come to this blue buff, which I'm thinking of, and I'm being careful of that. Or he's doing the exact same thing as me and going for my blue buff. And we can see in a second how I can figure that out. So right now, as I'm looking at my lanes, I noticed this Vayne resetted here, but I actually am really looking for this Vayne, and I'm pinging. I want to go for this Vayne here, and there's a key reason for that. I honestly think that Vayne had burned some summoner spells earlier, so actually, I'll talk about that in a sec, but I'm warding up just in case Kha'Zix shows up behind. So for now, I'm waiting for this Vayne to pop nearby, but I noticed something over here. I actually saw that the Kha'Zix had my blue buff, but over here, I'm going to be able to get a really good dive in here. I don't even have to ult this. I don't have the flash or anything. And we're able to pick up the kill, which is good. But now I know that Kha'Zix is heading down this way. And I'm waiting for Kha'Zix to jump. That's why I wanted to see if Kha'Zix jumped first. Because if Kha'Zix jumped on me and then I just dashed away, then they wouldn't have been able to kill me at all. But over here now, I'm just being careful just because the enemy mid is missing. There's a good chance that their enemy mid might be rotating. So that's why I was being a bit cautious. We maybe could have won that, but it would have been a little bit risky. Because our mid died and then theirs got the kill, so I was keeping an eye out for the rotate. But something to notice there is that the Kha'Zix had a blue buff on him. So what that means is he took my blue buff. He did the exact same thing that I did. He invaded my blue buff. I took his blue buff. So I have a good idea. I'm not heading towards that blue buff because I know he already took it. So I'm just going right back to the red buff. But against that Kha'Zix there, if we did want to go for that 2v2, it's very, very key to not let either of us get isolated. We win that if neither of us get isolated there. But now I'm heading back towards this bot side, and I know Kha'Zix is on his red buff because he's doing the same clear as me, and we literally have the exact same rotation. My red buff respawn, his red buff respawn, because he also started as red. So I know he's at that top side right now. So I'm looking for this play onto Vayne. And I know Vayne has no flash or anything because they burned that when we killed him the first time. So that's something really key to keep track of that I mentioned for a second. Keeping track of summoner spells. Usually a lot of times whenever people get super low, so if you remember back at the very start of this match when both of these laners were low, both the Fiora and the Vayne, there's a good chance that the Fiora had popped their summoner spells such as the heal, which they had, meaning it's a bit easier to go for a dive and stuff because they don't have that up. But that's just something to keep in mind. But as I said, the Kha'Zix was clearing his red buff. And, oh, notice what, I'll talk about that in a sec, but notice what I do here. Notice what I'm pinging on the minimap. I'm pinging the Ahri. This is the only reason why I'm contesting this. I'm pinging the Ahri. I want to play around this Ahri over here. And it's really key to do this as a jungler. Play around your laner strengths. And that's what makes jungling such a high skill cap role, is because you have to understand every single position, not just jungling. And you need to know what your team wants, what they're strong at. So thinking about what an Ahri is good at, they're really good at catching somebody out with their charm. If they land their charm at somebody at this stage of the game, they're almost always going to get deleted. So notice what I did there. I literally positioned for the Ahri. I set up for the Ahri. I made it so they can land their charm, and we're able to get 1 kill off of that. And that just pretty much set us up very well. Plus, I saw that the Ahri had ultimate. If you didn't know, and I know I mentioned this in all my videos, but every single time people comment that they never knew this. But if you look at the champ pictures right next to the minimap, right to the right of it, the green dot above the champ pictures means that they have their ultimate up. So now I'm looking for this over here, and the reason for that is I'm pretty sure Kha'Zix is going towards his blue buff. Because if you don't remember, he cleared his red buff a little bit ago, and then now that that's gone, he's probably heading towards his blue buff side. But as I was saying, I knew where the Kha'Zix was. I knew he was taking his red buff a while ago when I pinged it. So what that means is at that point, he has 2 choices pretty much. He can either keep on farming or he can gank that top lane or that mid lane. He really has no impact on that bot side of the map when I killed that Vayne the second time. Because remember, if he's taking his red buff, there's only 2 lanes he can gank from there. He can't do anything else on the lane that's all the way on the opposite side of the map. But we're able to get a good kill onto Kha'Zix, and now we're taking this Herald. Keep an eye out for the Kennen. Gotta watch out for the Kennen ult. That's a big thing about Kennen. And that's why I'm being very cautious here on diving. I don't want to get CC'd up. And we'll see this in a second. Notice what I do over here. I know what they have. I use the Herald because I know we got the enemy mid-low. I see the Kha'Zix here, but I see this Kennen, and I'm looking at this, but I know right as I go in, boom, watch what's going to happen. He's going to ult. And then I easily escape that ult. I'm able to get the re-engage in, and I'm able to go back onto this Kha'Zix. And now we're able to pick up that mid turret because of that. So that was really well played for me, and that's what's another thing that makes jungling so hard is you have to know what abilities, what the enemy wants to do. And so, for example, if you don't know the enemy abilities, what their strengths and weaknesses are, you're going to struggle a bit because if I would have just gone in there, I would have gotten stunned underneath turret if I wouldn't have reacted really quickly, and that would have been very unfortunate. So instead, I pretty much dove in, got some good damage in, and then dipped out because I knew the Kennen was going to ult right away, and then I was able to dodge the stun that way. And you can't get stunned out of your ult, by the way. That's why I was fine with going back in. So I didn't get stunned up at all. Now we're pushing down this turret. Let's see if we can get it. But I'm going to talk about the build and stuff that I'm running this match. Okay, actually, first of all, I want to talk about how good Vi is into Kha'Zix. It's so strong. Like, Vi is my highest win rate champ that I got up to Grandmasters. It was almost like, I think like 66% win rate. And I only play Vi into Kha'Zix. I literally never play Vi at any other times now, other than Kha'Zix. But it's just so strong. So the build I'm going to be going is Trinity Force into Guardian Angel with Locket, Sterix Gauge, and then whatever defense I need. And that's just a really good standard build for Vi. You have good damage early game, you get good tank. And then for runes, I'm actually going Aftershock. I'm not going Conqueror this match. Aftershock just provides more utility, more tank. Conqueror is good if you're looking to get fed yourself and looking to deal the most amount of damage on your team. But really, I'm just looking to set up for my teammates, play a bit more of a supportive role with this Vi. So that's why I went for Aftershock. And then for the second rune, I'm going Brutal, of course. Brutal is a very strong rune right now. And then third rune, I'm actually going Conditioning. Conditioning is also a very good rune on junglers. And then last rune, I'm going Pathfinder. But over there, that was a bit unfortunate. We went in a bit too deep. Got screwed over by the Kennen ult and all the CC from Leona. That was a good rotation by Leona to rotate down there. So that's the build I'm going, and I don't know what this Kha'Zix is up to, but alright. That's fun. So those are the build in the runes, and over here, they're kind of just rotating all together. We're able to get stuff on other parts of the map just because they're all kind of being distracted by one person. So we're still got that mid turret, which is good. But now we're setting up for that next dragon. Waiting for my ult to get back off cooldown. So over here, I'm just starting this up. Pinging my teammates. They should probably head here. But notice what I see here. I see the Kha'Zix is coming down this way. And what do I do here? I don't take the smite battle. I'll tell you that right now. I don't take the smite battle, and the reason for that is Kha'Zix just has a better secure than Vi. If you don't know, Kha'Zix has super strong secure with his first ability plus smite. Because his first ability deals isolated damage to dragons. So that means with his first ability plus smite, he could smite at like 1,000 health, and there's nothing I could do about it. So I didn't even want to take that smite battle because he's probably going to win that just because he's so much better at last hitting. But I was talking about this earlier for a second, but I really want to talk about it again. And you probably didn't notice it during parts of the match, but sometimes during the match, what I'm doing is I'm just trying to make sure that my teammates don't get isolated. If I can't do anything useful, the least I could do is run towards my teammates and make sure they don't get isolated versus Kha'Zix. That is the only way Kha'Zix is good. If Kha'Zix gets isolated damage, he is broken. If he does not get isolated damage, he sucks. That's just how it is. So if you can really focus that, because a lot of your laners, they really won't be paying attention to that just because people are kind of careless against that. Like, Kha'Zix really is not as good as people make it seem. It's just that people are bad at playing into Kha'Zix and they position bad and they don't know what they're doing really. But you can kind of help with that a bit by making sure your ADCs, your squishies don't get isolated by the Kha'Zix damage. But now we're looking for a pick-off, seeing as somebody walks into this bush. Sadly, they warded it up. But in this match, I want to talk about how I'd play later game teamfights. And really, I would leave it up to this Ahri. I think this Ahri is key in this comp in the late game. Landing an Ahri charm, I can follow up super easily from a charm, because when a charm lands, they're of course going to be running towards our teammates, and then I can easily land my first ability plus my ult. Or if I see somebody really out of position, I could just ult it myself. That works for a good engage, but you really have to learn how to play around your teammates, because there's a certain stage of the game where going in by yourself will just get you killed and you won't deal enough damage. So learning how to play around your teammates ends up being super key in the late game. But now, going for this turret, I'm pinging I'm going to go to this Baron. Looks like Jinx wants to start it up. Now we're heading down there. But I want to talk about this for a bit for very new players that don't really understand too much yet. Certain champs are better at taking objectives like Bear and Dragons faster, and ADCs are very good just because they have very consistent damage output with their basic attacks compared to a lot of mages such as Ahri. They won't be dealing as much damage to this just because they rely on their abilities, and their abilities are long cooldowns that really don't deal too much damage to these objectives. So I just wanted to point that out. So like if it was just me and an Ahri trying to take that, I wouldn't have even gone for that just because we would have took forever and we probably wouldn't have even been able to do it. But chain CC on Vi is very key. A big mistake a lot of people might make is using CC at the same time, but chaining CC, you really get the maximum usage out of your stuns, knockups, etc. because they don't stack up. So if this Rakan gets a good knockup and I knock him up at the exact same time, one of our knockups is wasted. Instead, it's better to stagger him. After the Rakan knockup lands or runs out, then I use my knockup, and just etc. So over here, notice what I'm doing. I'm not just going in by myself. I'm playing around my backline. If they don't want to engage, then I will back up with them. But I get a really good turn on. This Rakan got a good engage. That's another thing I could do. Wait for a good Rakan engage. Pretty much whoever gets a good look, you want to follow up from them. Or if you're the one that gets the really good look, then you can do it yourself. But anyways, that's going to be it for this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. Y'all have been killing it lately, and that's going to be it. I'll see y'all in the next video.